everyone, Richard Carlton here. Welcome to another awesome day of FileMaker training. I'm the creator of fmtraining.tv, where we create on-demand videos that are part of the paid video course that we have there, as well as daily free live stream training. We answer lots of questions and answers, helping you become an awesome FileMaker developer to build awesome solutions for your customers. So today we have Jonathan Ray. Jonathan Ray is a very senior FileMaker developer, been around for many, many years. He's quite awesome. He's also the creator of the Web Portal Wizard, which is that tool that allows you to build some web reporting really inexpensively. The rub that people run into, they have problems, is that they want to build public-facing websites, and it's really hard to do so cost-effectively. And Jonathan's kind of an expert at building. He has a couple different options up his sleeves, including integration FileMaker WordPress. In fact, we'd like to bring him back and have him talk about that. But if you need some professional help and you have a budget, I mean, he'll come back and do it for free with us, but it'll be up to you to kind of take it and get it completed for your company. But he is available. He is a staff person here at RCC. We can farm him out to you to help you with your project if you need help with that. So once again, public-facing websites, database development, all sorts of great stuff. So today's broadcast, today we are going to be talking. Jay, you are there, right? Jay, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. So today's broadcast, once again, we always kind of talk about the level of skill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out just a smidge on this so people can see this. So what this is my, and this is a big section of the book, the first part of our new book, and that is this continuum of learning, right? And so, or the progression of learning in the FileMaker platform. And so we have someone like Bunny, who's a brand new developer. Some of you might be like this person over here. Today's broadcast, yesterday was for you. Yesterday was a great broadcast about reporting and sub-summary fields. Today is a little bit more intermediate. I would say it's between intermediates to senior level people. Jay, you're up the bat. What are we doing today? Why do we care? Tell us, what are we doing and why should I care?
So we are talking about summary fields, and summary fields are a great thing to have if you have, say, 10 records or so in your whole database. But when you try to put more than, say, 1,000 records and you start making summary fields and you want counts of certain values, you'll start noticing right away that you'll get this summarizing dialog that comes up, and it just keeps getting longer and longer, and then you're waiting 10 seconds for it to go away, 20 seconds, and the more records you put in, the longer you see these little summarizing dialogs. And that's the discussion about scalability. So when we come into a database, we have the option to create what's called a summary field. And so let me just create something here, and let's call it summary. And if we create, it gives you a couple options, right? So you can have total of, count of is the one that we're dealing with today. If you just want a count of a certain value in your found set, you would normally do it natively in FileMaker with a summary field. But as I've been saying, it starts getting very slow the more records you put in. So the way around that, this is a little hat trick that we're showing today, and it's what I call pseudo summary fields. It's we're not using summary fields, but we are getting the same result that we would have. So that's what we're going for, and this is to help you speed up your database. We have 50,000 records right now in here. This is a lean design type of technique, so you can use it with 5 records, 50,000, 5 million records, and it's still going to be fast and scalable, and you just can't get that result using native summary fields. Does that kind of summarize it there, boss?
All right, Jay, so start taking this apart for us. And then if you folks have questions, definitely Candido, it's question time, baby. Definitely ask questions. That would be really great.
Now, before we move on, Richard, if you want to just talk a second, if you want to, about what I was talking about, summary fields, and the reason for making things fast and not cluttering your database with summary fields. Anything that you want to comment on there?
Yeah, there was a little bit of an audio burp there, Jay. Yeah, the short version of this I guess once again the idea, and those of you we talk about this, I guess I could cover this. I hadn't thought about this. Is that I'm going to switch over to my slide real quick. And this came up the other day when we do basic training, because I have I have a really wide, diverse group of people here. All of you are very welcome. You're awesome. Thank you for being here. But you need to understand you represent a diverse group. There are people here who barely can install FileMaker and have never played with it before, and they're wondering what it's all about. And those are these people that live over here, right? These are the managers and business owners, things like that. They know that they invest. I mean, most of them understand there's a value proposition with FileMaker, and they get that. Not really a conversation we're having most days, but I do acknowledge that they're here, kind of, and they're influential, right? But we have beginning developers here, and a beginning developer just wants it to work. They don't care really. They're like yesterday or Sunday, I was trying to figure out what 5 or 6 different ways of doing things, and I was trying to think of the best way of explaining some things. And a lot of times I'm trying to pick the best way of the inventory of things I know how to do to explain so it's simple. When you're a brand new developer, you don't know 5 ways. You don't even hardly know 1 way. You just want it to work at all. And so that's a different conversation. We want you to be successful. We did the reporting conversation from yesterday. It's just about getting it to basically work at all and having some success, right? And then you feel good about it, and then you grow and you learn about the platform. As you progress to this person here, you start to build bigger, more complex solutions, and then you start to progress to this person over here. You're supporting customers with solutions that are in the cloud with 20 or 30, 50 people on one file at a time. And you have to take into account performance considerations with that. When you get to the very high level of performance consideration, really beyond this, you get into this area over here, you're really talking about lean design fundamentally. That makes sense. And so a lean design is this thing that kind of Nick, at least in the FileMaker community, it's kind of Nick's term that he lives on. But Jay and Nick, you guys got together to build this, right? This is where you got this from Nick, right? Or you kind of collaborated with him somehow?
I got with Nick and I said, hey, Nick, what's the best way of doing something like this? And he said right away, you cannot do this with summary fields. And unless you just want to be introduced, like he says, to your new friend, the dialog box, and that's not what we want. So we got together and we're like, how do we do this? And he came up with one version, and I took it and kind of ran with it from there and came up with what we see now. So it was a little bit of a collaboration at the beginning. You're right.
Well, but I think because there's it's the thing with the senior engineers, everyone is there. They don't normally watch our broadcasts. They don't know what you already have seen. So I think we've kind of laid the tracks for this pretty well, Jay. So okay. If you want to go and dive in, I think if people have been, if today's your first day, you're going to be a little overwhelmed, I think. But if you've been watching us for more than a week, they pretty much have an idea of beginning level stuff versus advanced level stuff. And today is an advanced level item simply because we don't want to take a long time in getting this work done. What needs to run quickly, it needs to be using lean techniques and lean design.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll jump in. I just wanted to lay the groundwork there as to why this is so important. If we were to get these results here, let me explain what you're looking at right now. We have a category field, a category field 2, and a status field. This is just a test database I threw together, and this has 50,000 test products. And what the goal is to get the count of how many records have certain categories. In category 1, these are the blue ones. In category 2 are the red ones. So what we're looking at, we're seeing here that there are 3,400 records that in category 1 have this particular value, mobile phone. 3307 have this particular value, appliance, and so forth. In order for us to get those counts, and they do work off of the found set of records. So if I open counts will refresh too. Okay.
Yeah, that was really fast, by the way. So now I want to point out, I don't know if Colleen is here. Colleen, if you're here, this is the I want to say that we built the sample yesterday. So what happened yesterday, Colleen had to come to after class, come see me after class, Colleen, right? So we had a little extra little design session yesterday, and she's just learning the basics of summary fields and stuff. And so she had a problem very similar to this. I showed her the basic way of doing it, which if you scale it really big, when you notice Jay did this, it was almost instantaneous. That won't happen so much with Colleen's design or what I showed her yesterday. If she puts 50 people on it on a cloud server with 100,000 records, this is where you want to learn what you learned, Colleen, understand it, make use of it, and then as you start to understand FileMaker, embrace this stuff over here. And obviously my texty thing has lost its mind, but I'm going to spell lean. Wow, that's really ugly. So we're seeing the drawing on the screen twice over here, Jay. So that's cool. All right, so so questions along the way. The pseudo. Okay, question from TK55678: is the pseudo summary fields file on the servers at local?
This is actually local right now, but
Okay.
it could be on the server.
I could take and put one on the server if you want to have a conversation. I could put it on the server just to.
Yeah, it works the same.
You sure? I mean, because I think
positive.
TK5678 thinks that you might suck on the server, so we have to. He's challenging you to a fight. Fight!
No, we can-
Fight!
No, I assure you, it does work the same speed.
Okay, well, how about we just verify, make sure you're not a lion weasel. So I'll go put it on the server, but then I'm not going to be listening to you. So I'm going to go do that, and that way it's ready for you in a couple minutes. Okay? Yes.
Okay, sounds
Okay,
good.
you
And you have that file, right?
Yeah, I got your. Well, you sent it to me on Slack, so I'm going to take that file. Is there a username and password for the file I need to know about? Is it unlocked?
No, it's unlocked right now.
Okay, cool. I will get that going for you, and then yeah. So you're live. Go ahead and go for it.
Okay, sounds good. So in order to do this normally, what you would have to do, doing it natively, is there's 15 categories here. So 15 times 2 is 30 summary fields that you would have to create, plus a couple, these two over here, using a different technique. So 32 summary fields. I just can't imagine how long you'd have to wait to go through 32 dialog boxes coming up, and it'll say summarizing, summary field 1, summarizing, summary field 2. And then you have to go out and get a coffee and get lunch before it refreshes the total counts. So we're trying to get around that right now. And again, all we're trying to do is summarize the counts of how many are in this particular category, how many are in this one, based on the found set of records for the current user. And then in this little box over here, we're getting the count of how many are inactive up here, and how many are in stock down here, the green ones. Okay, so that's what we're going for. I'm going to hop into layout mode by going to view layout mode, and you'll see here these are portals. So these are not individual fields, summary fields. These are portals displaying records. These two over here are just regular number fields, and we'll show you how that works. Okay, so we're using what's called a virtual list, and I'll show you how that's working. If you've seen some of our other videos before on virtual lists, you'll maybe already know where I'm going with this, but it's a little bit of a spin on virtual lists. We're also using a custom function to get this done. Okay, so in this button, this little refresh button, I'm going to debug it, script debugger, click on here, and I'm going to pull up this script and show you what it's doing. Okay, so this is the entire script. It's setting two variables, virtual list 1, which all of the category 1 totals are pulling from, and virtual list 2, which all of the category 2 fields are pulling from. Okay, then it refreshes the window to reflect the totals, and then it sets these two fields over here, inactive and in stock. All right, and then it commits the records and it refreshes. We're going to start with the easiest one here, and these are these two fields. So say you don't actually have a whole lot of categories that you need to get counts on. You just want to have a list view and know how many of your records on that list view are active, how many records are inactive or something. And that's all you need. And you don't want to endure the summary field dialog boxes that are coming up. You just need these two. Well, what we did here, and this is Nick's contribution here to this design. What we're doing is, and let me pull up this field here. It's getting a count of this field in stock.
Okay,
All
hang
right, so
on,
let me pull
Jay.
up this
Hang
field
on one sec.
status sum.
Hey, Jay, that last sentence
Go
just
ahead.
blew itself up on the internet, so you would start that last sentence again.
Okay, so these two fields here are Nick's contribution to this discussion. This is what we originally were doing, and I've retained it for this technique because it's good. So what we're doing here, we're using pattern count to get the total. Let me show you what this field is doing here, StatusSome, file manage database. And StatusSome is a summary, okay? But it's a different type of summary. It's a list of. And so if I click on here, it's saying, get me a list of all of the status values in my current found set. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. If I come here to data viewer, and I'm going to come over here to StatusSome, that's what it gives me. Inactive, repair, etc. It's a list of all of the statuses over here in my found set. Okay, so it's just a list of. List of is very fast. The other types of summaries are not. So this is based on the current found set, and what this this set field is doing is it's saying, get me the pattern count of this list, and this is the pattern count that I'm looking for. So it's going to say how many times in this list the words in stock are present. And by doing so, it then gives us the number of how many are in stock. Okay, so to make this clear, let me show you what I'm talking about. We'll just write this out here. So here is the StatusSome list, and if I do value count, you can see that there's 49,000 of these values in this field. And if I do pattern count, and then I'm searching in stock, now I know that there are 12,414 in stock values. So it's a little bit of a hat trick. FileMaker does better with pattern count than it does with a native summary field. And you can see it's very fast there. We're not getting dialog boxes coming up. If you store something, if you store a value, like this big list of values, doing pattern count on it is very fast. It's something that you need to keep in mind. The pattern count function is your friend when it comes to lean design, okay? So we're doing that for in stock, and we're doing that with inactive. So that is giving us the inactive values, the in stock values. And again, if I omit a bunch of records and refresh it again, we're talking about, what was that, a half a second to refresh all of these values and these two here. Okay, so that's the easy one. The set field using a summary field, list of, and a pattern count off of it. So if you don't need, again, if you don't need a bunch of category counts, and all you need, say you have an invoice layout, and you want to see how many invoices on your found set are paid or active or outstanding, you would create the number of fields you want to report on, you would create a list of summary field, and you would use pattern count. You would say, I want the pattern count of, say, my invoice status paid, and it would give you, the 10 invoice records in your list view found set that are paid. So that's one way of doing it, okay? Let me stop there, boss, and see if we have any questions before moving on to the second, more advanced technique.
All right. Colleen says she's watching. Very interesting. It's not a lot. What we're doing is oh, there's a question here. Stand by. We are getting it parked on the server, and I'm also getting the free download going. No questions on YouTube. No questions on Twitch. On Discord, CJ Berlin says, "Is the virtual list way faster than an SQL query with a select count?" My guess is yes, but I would have to test that.
Yes, so we'll get into why that is. We're going to see the virtual list thing in action. And the virtual list is more complicated, of course, than what I just showed you. It's also easier to do if you're reporting on a bunch of other things, okay? But if you just have a couple fields that you want counts on, like I want to see all the number of paid invoices that I have that I'm looking at, or the number of outstanding invoices, the number of products that are in stock. Creating fields and using the pattern count technique is going to be easier and more understandable. What we're about to get into with this virtual list thing is a little bit more advanced, and that's why it's a good breaking point here. So if we don't have any other questions on that, I'll move on to how the virtual list portion works, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we're seeing here, everyone probably gets this, but we're always talking about as you get older, more experience with FileMaker, or anything, you think of other ways of solving the problem. So Jay, I shoved one way at Colleen yesterday. I showed Colleen one way, and then today Jay is showing already several different techniques and talking about the benefits or differences therein. So,
all right. So again, here on the refresh script that refreshes all the counts, we covered the last two set fields, right? Those were more basic than what we're going into next. The first two script steps are set variables, and they're global variables. One is virtual list totals 1. The second is virtual list totals 2. It's using a custom function that we'll get into, but right now I want to show you what the end result is. Anytime we click refresh totals, it's going to give us and store two global variables. And let's take a look here. So if I go to Data Viewer, I can see exactly what those variables are. I see virtual list 1 and virtual list totals 2. So if I click on 1, that's the result. That's what we're getting, okay? So it's giving us the category, and then a little pipe symbol, and then the count. Next category, pipe symbol, count. Next category, etc. All the way down for all of the categories. All right, so that's what it's doing. And then in the background, once we have these totals for both of them, right? Once we have those totals, then the other table that's in this file, manage database, okay? We have two tables, products with 50,000 records, and then this filter table. And I'll show you that here. Let's just go to this layout. This filter table, this is what's called a virtual list. And in this filter table, these are my 15 categories: computer, mobile phone, camera, etc. And in this table, we have two other fields: total category 1, total category 2. Let me pull up the new window. Okay. And that's exactly what we're seeing here. On these portals, we're seeing the filter, right? What I'm calling filter. It's the category, total 2. So how are these two working? We'll come into File, Manage Database, and take a look. So in this filter thing, let's go to the calculation. It is unstored, but that's okay because we're just working off of a very small little list of 15 values. Okay, otherwise we don't like to use unstored calculations. All right, but in this case, here's what we're doing here. We're saying for every single row, say for the computer row or record, let's get this virtual list totals variable, and we want to get whatever record number that we're evaluating, okay? And we want to get that total count value that's after this pipe symbol. So we're saying, say it's record number 1. We're saying we want to get record number 1, and we want to get the count that's after the pipe symbol. This is what this calculation is doing. All right, without getting into too much detail, this is what it's doing there. All right, so for every single record, like the household record, it's getting. Let's cancel out of here. Yeah, here we go. This is a better look. So for the household category, because it's record number 4, the calculation is saying go to value number 4 and go to the thing after the pipe symbol and get that value there, and then stick it right there. Okay, and it's doing that for every single record. So if this is record number 12, then the calculation is saying go to record number, or go to value number 12 and get this number right here. All right, the same thing is happening with the second column, except that it's referencing the other global variable, and it's doing it extremely fast because it's using the calculation engine in the back end. All right, and as we know from Nick's Lean Design course, if you can make something rely on the calculation engine instead of, say, the script engine, it's going to be a lot faster. And that's what we're leveraging here. We're leveraging a custom function and the calculation engine, or what we call Draco, in the back end, which means, coming back to one of our listeners' question, it means that doing this instead of some sort of execute SQL function, this design is going to be faster, because an execute SQL function would rely on, say, a script, you pressing a button and it using the script engine to do that. And so using this way would be faster in that regard. All right. So that's how the virtual list is working. For every record, it's evaluating the global variables that we're setting. Okay. And then the last part of this, how this whole thing works, is the custom function, which is the most hairy part of this whole thing. And I don't know how much in the weeds we want to get into it, but I'll just open it up anyways. It's something I wrote called virtual list parse, and this is the custom function. Okay, so if that looks kind of scary to you,
well, for some people, they have no idea what a custom function is, and for some people, they're like, "Yeah, show me right away." Right? So
okay.
All right, so stand by. We'll just take a quick survey from the people on Discord. So, all you people on Discord, dig into this custom function or don't dig into the custom function. Please show. Okay, first comment. So yes, dig.
Okay, sounds good.
Nathan Schneider says dig. So the senior guy, the people that are on the, so when I come over here, the people that are over here on the senior ninja side, right? Definitely asking for this, Jay. So I'm talking about that artwork graphic. Whenever I do that, I'm off your screen, but I'll jump back now. But yeah, CJ Berlin is asking for it too. So good. So, all right, we are going to resume, Jay. So dig deep, baby, because we got plenty of time. Now, I want to say up front, I understand that all the new people, all the bunnies, your little heads will explode. 1, we're giving you the sample file. 2, this video is recorded. You can go back and watch it. But really, to be honest with you, today is not a beginning level day. Okay, it's just not. I kind of warned everyone. I feel bad about it. I'm sorry, but the advanced people suffered through basic reporting yesterday. Today is their day. So, Jay, you may go.
I'm going to copy on my clipboard what we're actually producing with this custom function, so that we remember here. Okay, and then I'm going to come to manage custom functions. So some might not be familiar with this term. A custom function is a function that doesn't come with FileMaker out of the box. FileMaker has over 100 functions that are built in. For instance, like get found count is a function that gives you the found count of the found set of records that you're looking at. But if you want FileMaker to do something in the calculation engine that's just not there, you can build your own thing. Okay, and that's what's called a custom function. You can name it, do all sorts of things with it. So this one I've named virtual list parse, okay? And this is what it does. This is what's called a recursive function, right? So we are, if you're familiar with scripting, if you're familiar with doing loops, you're looping through a set of records, for instance. And so you're saying, here are my records. I'm looping through each one and doing something to it, right? We're in the calculation engine here, we are doing the same type of thing as a scripted loop, but we're doing it in a calculation. So the first thing we're doing, we're using a let statement, and a let statement is just like in a script doing a set variable. You're storing some sort of reference point at the beginning, a set of text or numbers or something that you're going to use later on. Okay, so we're saying we want the list of categories, which would return us the 15 categories: computer, mobile phone, camera, household, all of those things stacked on top of each other. So in the back of your mind, if you can picture just a list of these 15 values, that's what we're storing, first of all. Okay, we're going to use those later on. And then we're saying, I want to know how many are in that list of categories. So in our case, it would be 15, the second one, because there are 15 different categories. So again, it's the list of categories and the count of categories. Then this whole next section here, okay, this whole thing here, all it means is we're going through each and every category and making a value like this. It's going to be category, pipe sign, number. Category, pipe sign, number. And it goes to the next and the next and the next until it's all the way at the end, and then it stops. And it gives us, and it returns the whole list. So if you're familiar again with scripting, right, it's almost like a exit script if it's on the last records. It stops when it's at the end. That's what this set recursion is doing. It's saying, once we get to this number here, then stop. And this number, again, if you remember, is 15. Once we get to the 15th category, then we're done. It's not going to give us this infinite loop of and make your computer spin and die, right? So we set an ending point, 15. It's almost like an exit loop if, right here.
That
okay?
little ampersand sign, Jay, that's just your arbitrary naming, right? That could have been Blue Beaver 55 or something, right?
Yes, you don't have to use an @ sign. It's just something that visually, to me, I know that's a variable.
Okay.
Because I
Okay.
never use an @ sign anywhere else. Some other people use tildes or whatever.
Yep.
So that's just me and my quirky way of doing things, but it works for me.
Okay, and I just want to point out that Candido said this is a very important subject. I have a bunch of tables and reports based on summaries that are slow, and I need to get rid of those. So
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So that people
So
are
good
this is really
case.
good. So yeah. So everyone, I don't have one person that says skip it. I want to go home. So everyone wants you to dig deep. So yeah.
Okay. So this other thing came with, I believe it's 18, FileMaker 18. So if you're not using 18, set recursion and while does not work. You have to be using 18 for this to function, 18 or 19. Okay. This part here, I'll relate it again to what it's like in a script. It would be like setting the initial variable, saying we want to track where we are in the loop. Okay, so if we need to loop through 15 times and end at number 15, we need to know that this iteration through is 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it is. So we're setting the initial iteration, that's what I stands for here, as 1. Okay, then we're using these two things down lower here, so don't worry about those. But those initial values are blank. Okay, and then this says if the current iteration is less than or equal to the values count, then go ahead and collect whatever value we're talking about. So say for instance, we get to the very end, okay, and this iteration number becomes 16, then it will skip this whole thing and end, right? So we're putting a little trap in there to see only if it's within our window, only if it's within our count, do we want to do this actual calculation, okay? And then what is the actual calculation here? All right, so what we're doing is we're doing another let statement, and we're saying that the value we want to collect within this particular iteration is the get value of the filters, which is up here, okay? We want to get the particular one that we're on. All right, so say we're on iteration number 5, and that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's this one that we're evaluating, this category. Then what this is doing is it's saying get the 5th value in this variable up here, which would be appliance. Okay, so that one grabs that, and then the total is value count, and then this is it, basically the values. Where is that? I'm trying to find this here. Filter values.
Take your time, Jay, because everyone else is trying to keep up with you, probably except for Nathan and TK55678 or Brutterman. So there's always people in here who know more than you do, but trust me, if you get stuck, we can even ask them for help, right?
Okay. Oh, okay. So the values up here is what you're putting in to the custom function. This would be the long list of categories. Okay. So it's saying over here for the appliances, I want to filter all of these values by the value that I'm on here, which would be appliances. And so then you would have this long list. Say it's like 100 values in your list that equal appliance. And then you get the value count on that list, which would give you the number 100, whatever it is. Okay. So now you have the name, which would be appliance, and the number that corresponds to that name, 3306. And then this last one here is the name and pipe sign and the total. And that's exactly what we got here. Okay. And then it keeps doing it. It keeps looping through and looping through and looping through and compiling a list of these values until we're at number 16. When we exhaust the number 15, then it ends and returns the list. Okay, the list is this right here, a list of the values we just collected. And I think that's as simple as I can explain it. And what you'd probably want to do if this still doesn't make sense, and it's a complicated thing, you'd want to dig into this and get the demo file and get your head wrapped around it and maybe watch this explanation again. But that's the inner working. This is the hardest part of this whole thing. But for some people, you don't even need to know how this works in order to use the file itself or to use the custom function itself.
Okay. So, yeah, little audio burp there on your end, Jay. You're
about
good.
As best as I can do it.
Yeah, so Elzo says this is a critical session. This is what he's writing to everyone. I have a report that with summary numbers of the records and active, etc. And this is just the perfect solution. Ken says, okay, I'm going to read this to you, Jay. Are the quote this in quotes and quote the list quote close quote at the top of the while basically variables? So go back to your go back to your. I think a lot of questions are going to be about the custom function. So the custom function is in the net. The custom function is in this file. We gave you the file. So David, it's in the net. It's in it is this like a basketball thing where you say I said it's all net, right?
I think he means in the cloud.
All right. Delta Derp 2792 says good explanation. Thank you. I'm using FileMaker 17, so I'm out of luck. Nah, you can do it other ways, but Derp 2792. If it's just you, what you do is you send me an email to support, and I can get you connected with a really good discount on the bundle, so you can have 19. Okay. So how about that? I'm not going to say you're screwed, but how about instead of me trying to rewrite this for the people who don't have whatever version, we have the training bundle, which has all our amazing training on it, and a full copy of FileMaker 19 for your Mac or Windows computer, right? So there you go. So if you would like that, let me know, and I will give you an amazing deal. Just send an email to me at support@RC Consulting. Support, SUPPORT, at RC Consulting. John Pollard says, thank you, beautiful demo. Jericho 1, which is a fighter jet over the med right now, says you can use just a loop function. Okay, Jericho, it's called punctuation. Is that a question or a statement? So, loop, right? So
there, I don't think he's referring to an actual function in the calculation engine, because there's no such
Yeah,
thing.
I didn't think there was a loop.
But,
maybe he's talking about.
But what I think he's talking about is, can you just do this as a loop inside a script? And the answer is yes. But the reason we're doing it inside the calculation, it's because 100 times faster. That's that lean design thing that we're that Nick has been talking about. If you do something through the script engine, as a last resort, you can do that. But if you can do it in the calculation engine, it's going to be super fast.
All right, so let me cover this real quick. So this is we've hit this before, but it's one of those like things that I've had to hear it a number of times before I kind of got it. So I switched back here briefly. So understand, it's very important. So we in our video course, we have this thing, a video. And this is for Derp 2792. If you get the training with the copy of Pro 19, you can see this video. So what I want to do, I'm going to zoom all the way out. What I want to do is bring in here. There's a video called the 3 engines. It's called either it's 3 like this, 3 engines, or is it 3 engines? 3 engines, all courses, 3 engines like that, 3 engine. How about 3 engines like the number 3 engines? There it is. This video right here is like gold bars, right? What it talks about up here, notice that we have the new search in the new version of build 24 here. It really works good. And it sorts the latest courses to the top. And it's been in the last couple releases, hasn't changed. There are 3 engines in FileMaker. They're all kind of Draco, but they do different things at different speeds. You have a layout presentation engine, you have calculation, you have scripts, and custom functions are in this area where they run blindingly fast. So an identical calculation, if you said 1 + 1 = 2, and you clocked it at a speed in the script, so with a set field command, and you clocked it in a custom function, obviously 1 + 1 = 2 is pretty simple, but what it would show you is that when you did that math, the identical formula in the custom function, it literally is 50 times 20. It depends on the situation, but it's way, way, way faster. Not double fast, it's way more than double fast. So it's enough that any math that you're doing, you want to load over there into the custom function and do that. It really helps with that. Not just math, but any formulas in general. And so we cover here in this video called the 3 engines right here. I highly recommend you cover that because we talk about this specific topic right here. So this is a and that was Nick talking. So you get to borrow Nick there for a little bit, right? Here's a question. There's a couple questions here. We're going to have to go through these. You can avoid the inner let and just write it out in the while loop, right? So Andre is one of these guys here that we have, Jay. I'm going to switch back to your screen, who is alternately sharper than most of us put together. So it's like any other senior developer coming up with the 10 different ways of writing this. So Andre just simply points out you can avoid the inner let and just write it out in the while loop. That's what Andre's comment is. And that's probably, knowing him, he's built a number of very nice sample files for us. I tend to believe that.
The reason we're doing this here, when we use let, okay, it's because we don't want to spell out these things over and over again. So we can, it's almost like using set variable. So he's right, but it's a shorthand way of doing this. But
Yeah.
you're right, you can get away without doing this let statement.
Cool. Candido, who's more basic, I think, is the technique an alternative to virtual lists, or are they complementary? And I think we want to save that to the NJ because that sounds like a bigger one, right? Yes.
Yeah, though this is using the virtual list technique, so it's
Uh-huh.
using it, but kind of a spin-off of it. Like if you Googled virtual list, you wouldn't come up with a technique exactly like this. It's just kind of using it. I guess that's the best way I can explain it.
Okay, so I'm jumping around here a little bit. Let me just deal with YouTube first. So Candido said, okay, that was Candido's question. Andre's question. Brutterman, do you have to use the set recursion, or can you just set the exit condition within the while declaration? Question mark.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'd have to look at it closer for that. So I think what he's trying to get at is, could we do this without using the new FileMaker 18 functions? And I think so. But set recursion and while helps you do recursive functions without having these infinite loops and getting things.
Yeah, while is supposed to be faster. We have a video on that too. If you want to go over once again to over here in the video area, that video player, type while, WHILE in your search. Make sure you search all courses. You'll get something in there for Nick. It's specific, I think, to the 19 course. It's pretty good. So Golf Lima Tango Uniform says, great technique, but the example is mostly about count of the list. What about making a total of the list? Which function would you suggest we use? Some will work, but should we use something else? Question mark.
Yeah, this is specifically for values and unique values, and not for numbers. It won't work with numbers because you can't really do pattern count on numbers and have any sort of success. You can, but it's not going to give you anything useful.
You're using pattern count as the secret speed sauce here on this one. I mean, there's a
Yep.
number of secret speed sauce things in here.
Yep.
Using custom functions is one. You kicking this off to P sauce, which we can talk about this on server a little bit, is another one. Obviously, the pattern count would not work with a total, but what I would try to do is total. I would try to do it with a custom function with P sauce, and then offload that as much as you can on the server. That would probably help quite a bit.
So I mean, yeah, to answer the question, you can do something similar to this, but when you're dealing with numbers and you're dealing with sum and count, those types of functions, even if you're doing it in P sauce or a custom function, it's going to be a little slower than just text doing list and pattern count and that type of thing. So FileMaker historically has handled blocks of text better than it does numbers and summarizing things. So again, this technique just uses text and category counts, but not numbers. And maybe it's something, Richard, that we could have Nick take a look at, maybe do a demo of how he would solve that issue.
Yeah, potentially. He's not doing videos right now. He's basically working on a bunch of customer projects because he got back to being busy again. So we'll have to see if we can schedule that. Okay, so the outstanding question, we have a couple things to cover. One is I can show the server part of this real quick. I guess I could take care of that real quick. Let me just do that. So I'm going to go into FileMaker. I can go into 18 or 19. Unfortunately, looks like I'm running both of them right now, which could be a problem. And it pops up. When it pops up, you get a quick dialog here that goes pretty quick, Jay. We get a categorizing sum1 here. It does that once, and then after that, it doesn't seem to do it. So if you change the found set over here,
Yeah.
and then you run the refresh, it was
what
like
that
once.
is,
Go ahead, Jay.
yeah, what that is that list of summary field, and that is just working off of the active or I'm sorry, in stock and inactive fields. So that's that pattern count technique.
Yep.
If you didn't want those two, then you could take those out and you wouldn't even see that dialog.
Well,
So the virtual list one doesn't even give you one, which is kind of cool.
yeah. So as I change the found set here, then I hit the refresh. I click it, pow. It's not even a full second. It's like pow, pow. It's like at 3/4 of a second. It's pretty quick, and so the processor technique definitely works, which is pretty great. So Jay, why don't we go back and talk about virtual versus virtual list and the SQL question if we could? Would that be great? You want to do that?
Yeah, I know we touched on it a little bit, and as an overview, the virtual list technique is faster than doing something like an execute SQL script step, just for the exact same reason as the three engines discussion we just had. You know, where if you're doing an execute SQL script step, you're using the script engine instead of the database engine. Does that make sense?
Nah, you're fine. I'm over here. They're discussing my lips are not in sync with my face. So anyway, you just keep doing your thing, Jay. You're good. Why don't you dig through that? Well, because they asked about that, then they also asked about the SQL too, right? So.
Right. Well, I guess I don't quite understand the specific question. Maybe they're asking.
Well, they were asking. The question was, and it was earlier, and I didn't write it down, so it's buried here somewhere. One of them, Candida or someone, was asking about doing a select statement in the SQL and FileMaker and doing a count that way. How would the performance be with your technique as opposed to doing it that way?
Yeah, I'm almost positive my way is faster. I just can't really articulate why right now. I would need maybe some extra clarification on the specific question.
Well, I mean, the issue I understand with the select statement is that, once again, when you do SQL and FileMaker has to translate it out of SQL into something it understands, okay, fundamentally, okay. Two, it runs it, it gets the data, then it has to translate it back into SQL. That doesn't take too long, but it is overhead. So I don't know. We could try it. It might be useful to do that if one of you wants to actually do a select statement with this file and try it and come back with that as a homework assignment. You will be given extra credit by Richard if you can bring that back as a homework assignment. That would be awesome. I don't think too many more questions. So people saw it on the line, going fast, Jay. I think CJ Berlin, a couple other people are working with the select statement to see what kind of speed they can get out of it. Right? That should be interesting. I would be surprised if it's as fast. It really would be. One thing Jay did not.
Well, I mean, the thing is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, you'd have to do it with 30 different, categories, and I don't know how that select statement how you would even create something like that. So I'd be interested to see what they come up with.
Well, that would be interesting to see. Now, Scott had a question earlier, and I totally spaced on this, and so I don't want to make Scott unhappy because he's one of our customers. And a couple of you, Derp2792, just reminded me. People are asking about the portal. They want to know how this portal is. Assuming this is the portal here they're talking about set up, right?
Right.
And how's it sort? So can you walk through the portal? Well, that's actually okay. Well, that's not a portal. That's a list view. But those are portals up there. So
this is a list view of records, right? And these portals, the first one displays the first 5 records. So it says 1 through 5. The second one displays, starting with 6, 5 records. And the last one starting with 11, 5 records. So you're displaying all 15 like that.
Yeah, that's a really good one. It's a simple one. That's because FileMaker won't allow us to have a sideways portal, right? So anyway, and then how are they sorted? The question they're asking is how they sort, I guess.
They are sorted in the same way that the creation order is right here in the virtual list. So you could put them in different ways, and it would sort them differently.
Yeah, so that's one of the tricks. This is like a little subtle trick for those of you. So because you can't put portals sideways, how do you actually have related record elements go sideways? You could actually have a portal element here, like with this is, well, my box is drawing twice, but you could do one there, and then the second, no, like portal spot number 2, related record number 3, related record. You could build the whole thing sideways. It's just a tedious work is what it is to set that up. So, but lots of good stuff. You got the sample file here. Ken says he'll be back. CJ Berlin says he's wanting to playing with the SQL thing. You do it in a loop where the criteria is a variable. So, yeah, I mean, CJ, let's just see how fast it goes. I mean, we're not really racing for pink slips here, as we say in the business, where you're racing and whoever wins gets the other guy's car. It would be good to see it, but once again, some people, listen, the thing with SQL is that either you have a background with SQL and you're comfortable with it, or you're not. If you're not, don't bother. If you are comfortable with it because you come from another world where that was a thing, then definitely use it. Feel free. Just understand you can read the data. You can't write or edit the data with the SQL comment. It's basically a read-only function. So for those of you thinking that SQL is the way to go, it can be in limited situations. Calvin, we have a session on SQL. Once again, I'm going to recommend that you come back up here and you go back to our SQL. If we go to our training file over here, we come over here, select the course. Doesn't matter what course you're in. You just type SQL, hit the return key. There's a distinct command with Nick over here. And then there was the live stream here with that. And then Calvin did SQL right here. This is the videos right here on May 18th and May 19th. SQL for beginners, day 1 and day 2. Awesome stuff. So, all right, everyone, off to another meeting. I appreciate it. First SQL. First result of SQL is slower, 15 lines. That debugger took 2 to 3 seconds to go. So maybe CJ Berlin can get it faster. 2 or 3 seconds there, 2 or 3 seconds there. That's about, well, it was less than a second on our end, so we'll see. We'll get some good numbers on that. That'll be good to know. Jay, I'll report that back to you because you'll be back Friday. If CJ's back, maybe we can bring it up on Friday and bring it up. That'd be a good one. Right, Jay?
All right. Yep, sounds good.
All right, everyone. I appreciate it. That's it for today. Thank you.
And the guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left. Amendola reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10. Rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but Danny makes the grab.